Recording?
Yes, I started.
Recording. Okay, man. 20 minutes. Keep just check your watch. What's the
Yeah,
time?
I'll put a timer on my phone.
Okay, let's go. You can start this one.
Cool. Great. Hey, man. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Sure.
Let's. So, just before starting, you got a call, and I just want to keep with the flow with that.
Okay.
What was it about?
Yeah, so I was getting a call for somebody asking me regarding the workshop. So somebody was asking me regarding if they can attend the session today. So I take a 3-day workshop for options trading, and I'm predominantly an options trader now. So I was getting a call to just somebody wanted to join today's batch. So I have a workshop scheduled today, the part 2 of my workshop scheduled today at 9 p.m.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
So, how long have you been trading?
I have been trading for approximately 2 years now, 1.5, 2 years. So yeah, somewhere from 2019, mid 2019 to now. Yeah.
Okay, and how did you get into it? I find this very fascinating because we've talked about it before, right? We had we had a great conversation when we first talked 2 days ago, and you are also from I wouldn't say IT, but like an analyst background, right? You're from Mu Sigma, I'm from ZS.
Yes.
So I really wanted to understand how you got into trading.
Right. So actually, I mean, to put it really simply, the main reason I got into trading was mainly because I was searching for paths of freedom, right? And I really think that the corporate career path is sort of very limiting in terms of freedom. When I say freedom, I'm referring to the choices that you can make, the things that you can do. I guess I just don't want to give 10 hours a day. The honest truth is you have to give 10 hours a day, especially for the first 10, 15 years. A bare minimum of 10 hours a day.
Yeah, sometimes even more. Yeah.
Sometimes even more. Yeah. So the thing is, I just see it this way that I don't want to do that. I think life should be lived in a manner where you given a fixed amount of time to your career, or let's say the something that you do to earn money. But I think after that, it should be for yourself. It should be for various things that you want to do. It could be a lifelong passion. It could be spend time with family. It could be whatever it is that you want to do. So I think for me, it came from a point of being very clear that I want to find paths of freedom, and I saw trading as one of the possible paths that I could have taken. So for me, it started with that thought process.
Okay, that's
Right.
great. I really relate to that because I started trading about right after the pandemic.
Right.
So I moved back in with my parents, and I was always fascinated with the charts. I had no fucking idea what they were about, and I remember going on TradingView for the first time,
Right.
and I had no idea how to navigate even that page.
Right.
But I think it was just that innate curiosity to try to understand what it was and trying to figure it out that it kind of fell into place. Now, I have not been profitable so far, but I feel like the journey has been very interesting and I get to meet people like you.
Yeah.
So, you were working for a while before you started trading, right?
Yeah. So I have been working for 6.5 years. So I come from the analytics industry, and I've been working for 6.5 years. And I left my previous job, or my last job, somewhere about 6 months ago. So for 6 months, I've been trading full time.
Yeah, that's nice. And so, have you been able to supplement a full time income from trading? Like, have you reached that stage?
Yeah. So yeah. So like you put it, so it's actually been this month where I could finally beat my salary. So this
Okay.
month, which was February 2021, is the month I could beat my salary. So it's a great place to be, and knowing that in trading, when you beat your salary, you are sort of like an exponential curve. So I know that like things can only get better in the future.
Yeah, because the profit kind of feeds into the principle of
Yeah,
the next
yeah,
trade. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So it's a great place to be. Yes, so I have technically finally beaten my salary. Yeah.
So tell me this, right? And I remember having this conversation with my dad when I first told him that I kind of wanted to venture into all of these things, right?
Right.
And it was not just trading; it was a lot of these other things also, like could be cooking or playing more basketball.
Yeah.
Because obviously, with the pandemic, I had a lot of time on my hands. And I remember him and a couple of other people telling me that not everyone is cut out for it,
Yeah, yeah.
right? You need that haath ki safai. which I took a little personally because I felt that I don't agree with it, right? Like there is nothing that I can't learn. So I took it as a challenge to try to figure out, not as like a full time income as seriously as you, but to try to figure out how to make money on the side, right? And more to me, it was more of like a curiosity thing.
Mhm.
So let me ask you this: can anyone make money off of stock markets or options or whatever, or is it only like something about you, maybe it's your past experiences or from your job or being an analyst that kind of enables you to do that?
That's actually that's quite a it's an awesome question. I think not everyone is cut out for trading, right? Honestly, I don't think everyone can do this.
Okay.
Can everyone earn money off the stock market? Yes, but can everyone go about a very aggressive path of sort of pulling off the returns, or let's say pulling off returns where you beat your salary? Probably that is not meant for that is not probably meant for everyone. I think it comes down to risk appetite, right? I think not everyone has the same level of risk appetite, and this is something that I've understood interacting with 200 or so people that I've taught.
From your course.
Yeah, from my course, right? And I've realized that not everyone has the same risk appetite, right? And I used a metaphor to explain this, right? I think everyone can drive a car, but not everyone can be a race car driver, right? I think everyone can drive a car to fulfill their basic needs, but if you want to go really extreme, it can feel like being part of a race, right? Overwhelming. So not everyone can handle that, and it depends from person to person as to what comfort level they are ready to, or what comfort level they have, and to what risk they're comfortable to go with, right?
So this is like a very interesting notion, right? So what do you think enables you to be a big risk taker?
Right. Great. Yeah. I think, I think for me, right. So I was never a sort of a straight A student. So I was more like a guy who failed 3 exams in college. So I had to go give the summer supplementary exams.
KTs.
Sorry.
KTs, right?
In my college it was called summer.
Okay.
Like you have to come back for those
Yeah,
2 months
yeah.
and redo the subject,
Yeah.
regive all the exams. So I have given 3 summers. So the thing is, I think my comfort level with failure is just too high, right? For whatever reason, when I initially was losing a lot of money in the stock market, I was very comfortable knowing that I've lost money.
Okay.
I sort of am very comfortable with losing and then sort of learning from it, right? So and I'm extremely optimistic. So the two things that I personally see that really help me out: I'm very optimistic, I'm delusionally optimistic, and I am very comfortable with losing. So when you add these two together, it makes a person who's ready to experiment with the stock market to a crazy level. So I think that's the slight difference that I see. But I'm not exceptionally talented, if that's what is the question. I'm not talented in a very special way, but it's just a more of a. You see, the stock market is a little bit more about psychology and emotions. So when you put those two aspects of being delusionally positive and okay with losing, the way I handle my emotions is really good. I think that's the difference if I look back and see all the people that I've met in the trading world. That's the short version of it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So I was when we first talked, right? And I think we touched base upon this then also.
Yeah.
That about the whole concept of risk taking and how it is kind of taken away from you during your education system, or at least what we have so far.
Yeah.
Right. The kind of idea that our lives should only look a certain way, and I feel like it is changing, at least like from what I can see. But it hasn't. It's kind of been the same static way for so long, right? So do you think that these things should be incorporated, or like what are your thoughts, like what can be changed, right?
From an education standpoint,
From like an education, or even like just letting kids explore more, right? Letting kids take those risks,
yeah,
and not kind of what's the word, stigmatize failure.
yeah. I think I you know what I think things have changed so much already, right? If you already see. Like I passed out from like my 12th standard, I did it in 2010. So in 2010 it was very normal for every student to go to coaching for IIT.
Yeah, same.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
And every kid had to do that. There was no other
Yeah.
path, right? And I think today now, things are more, people are more broad-minded. I think going for IIT coaching is not the only path, right? Or going for, you might just want to, take up paths which are more varied. So I think it's already changing to a good extent, but I still think, right, that if probably it's taught to kids maybe at the age of 14, 13, that it's perfectly fine to fail, right? Uh, that would really help. So yes, so I think that is something which most people struggle with, like
Yeah.
just accepting that, hey, I might lose 1,000 rupees today,
Yeah.
right?
And I feel like you can kind of extrapolate that to anything, right? Not just with money, but like just trying new things and figuring it
Absolutely,
out.
absolutely.
Like it was such a big deal for me to reach out to you
Yeah.
and to ask you to come on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because like I had so many things going on in my head that
Okay,
hey, you know,
yeah,
what if
yeah.
he says no, or what if, you know, like how will I figure it out? Like
Mhm.
what will I talk about?
Mhm.
So I feel like taking that leap of faith into doing something that you're even minutely interested in
Yeah.
is something that people should be taught more about.
Yeah, yeah. I think making the ask without having any expectations
Exactly, yeah.
is something which is not commonly found. It's very important.
Yeah.
It actually helped me a lot with job hunting, right? So I think for me, job hunting was something that I have done like ferociously. Okay, is the right term. So I have given over, like, I don't know, like every year I used to give 20 interviews, right? But
How did you find the time to, like, even I was wondering when you first mentioned this, like how did you find the time out of your normal job
right.
to like apply for all these interviews?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like for me, it's I think it's the pain was so real, if I may put it that way, right? Of being bound to this corporate 9 to 5. It's not even 9 to 5. It's 9 to 9. This corporate 9 to 9 lifestyle in Bangalore. Okay, where you're working for some IT company with very limited growth rate, and it's not even about growth. You're just kind of. It almost feels like jail to me, and I have like some very oddly extreme emotions when it comes to this job life. I have dedicated my last 3 years to find a way to break this chain, and I'm finally close to it. And hopefully, I can create a blueprint for others. But to answer your question, um, the main reason I sort of have been able to give that many interviews is because I wanted to jump the steps of this corporate job as soon as possible, and find my path towards freedom. And I think freedom for me comes down to, or let's say enabling freedom for me comes down to having enough money which equals more time. For me, money equals time. So I had to just quickly find ways to grow my salary. Because when you're starting in that starting role, you're earning like this basic fresher salary of 25 grand, and that's just not enough, right? It's you just gotta keep trying to push, uh, and yeah, so I was basically in the chase for that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just thought of like this interesting thing, right?
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that there are certain aspects to the emotional and psychological, like your own personal wiring, right? If I may put it that way, that won't exactly put everyone uh, on the best foot forward to trade.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying as aggressively or with the same investment as you or other big traders, but like in general. Like even when I trade, I trade with like the minimum number of lots, or like only like 100 quantity. So I feel like even then that in itself is also like a very nerve-wracking process.
Yes.
Right. So now you have a course.
Yeah.
And I've been to one day of the course.
Yes.
Where you kind of briefly touch base upon what it is that you do with like background information. Now knowing that not everyone is cut out for it.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that the skills that you need, not like reading charts or anything like that, the emotional skills, do you
Yes.
think those can be taught? Having like now you have the experience, right, of let's say being in like a corporate job, and then going through your entire experience like we talked about,
Yeah.
and losing enough money and gaining that experience and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
learning from your mistakes.
Yeah.
Do you think that that can translate into tangible material that you can teach other people from the emotional side of it, not from like the strategy and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, right? It's something that comes with a lot of experience. What you can do is teach people a strategy, right? I think that is something that you can easily hand over in terms of knowledge, right? So you can easily hand over saying that, hey, I want you to sell a certain option or stock here, I want you to sell a certain option or stock here, and I want you to take moves A, B, and C. And I think this is the way you'll make X%. So I can hand this strategy over to you very easily. But the thing is, on top of this, you need to be able to build that muscle for, variability for that day. Right? Maybe you get it right 80% of the times. 20% times you don't get it right. Now, being comfortable with this, having the maturity to handle that, is not something that I can really teach you in 2 days.
That's experience.
Yes, that comes with a little bit of experience, and I sort of designed the workshop in a way where I urge people to sort of think about these things. I talk about psychology in great detail, which is very underrated in the stock market space. So yes, it's not something that I can hand over easily, and it requires people to really, stick to their guns in trading and really try it out for some time. And I noticed that, even from the workshops, I only notice about 20% of the people going through with it, right? But I'm really happy that it's still 20-25%. But yes, unfortunately, 3 out of 4 people will, drop out when they face that level of pressure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the space which needs some work, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, I've really been noticing that this whole concept of making money off the stock market has really become almost, or is becoming, like a mainstream thing, especially because of likes of Zerodha and
Yeah.
who else is there? Angel Broker.
Yeah. Zerodha, Angel, there are a lot of guys actually.
Yeah. And especially like the social media presence of the entire concept of trading and making money, right? There was the Wall Street Bets thing with GME,
Yeah.
and all of that. So it's definitely a very pivotal time to be trading,
Yeah.
right? Because like I got into trading from Reddit. There's a subreddit called Indian Street Bets.
Yeah.
You must be knowing.
I'm
yeah.
a part of it, yeah.
Yeah, so even they hold like these mentorship programs, and they have like YouTube videos and all.
Right.
So it's definitely, it's like a community in itself, right? And like you mentioning, like we can relate to all of the situations, and all of the instances that happened to us during trading. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna ask you something.
So when you started trading, I think you're referring to that. Getting into trading through Reddit.
No, even before that, I am thinking of something. Content game. So you got into YouTubing. So
Yeah.
what? So LinkedIn actually works. I got to know because of you. Like to me, LinkedIn was like a toxic professional Instagram. Like the only thing left was for
Right.
people to put like it's all I hear is, and like it's fine. I get the idea that you did something great and you're
Yeah, yeah.
kind of whatever telling it to the people, but I feel like networking should be more than that, right? It should be more about like your field, or hey, I have these job opportunities. Like I feel that is not enough. Like it's either, oh, I failed, I want to show it, or I did something great and I want to show it. But yeah, like it was great that you were putting, and it seemed very honest. Like I was borderline skeptical. How are you doing this?
Right.
Because you seem to have consistent numbers.
Yes.
So how did you get into the content game? Like what made you think that this is also another avenue that I can explore?
Yeah. So I think for me, like I've grown up on YouTube,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like a teenage dream for me to sort of have a YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I'm starting it when I'm 28 years old. I have some 400 subscribers, but that's okay. But the point is, I'm starting so late. Okay, so I was just like, hey, if there's one thing that I want to do, it's that. So YouTube was a no-brainer that if you have something to share, whether you're entertaining or you have some knowledge, it's no-brainer for me to go on YouTube. But then I think like I educated myself in social media. At least now I'm at a level 1, if at a very basic level, if not 0. I was a 0 like until some time back. So now I educated myself, and when I look at it from a very problem statement point of view, dude, LinkedIn is so awesome, right? LinkedIn is so amazing. So LinkedIn is this one rare platform where you're having very few people creating, and there are so many people on it. So on Instagram, there are too many people putting up their daily
Yeah.
photos of their food and their vacation and God knows what, right? So in LinkedIn is just awesome that way. So like I now see it as a thing where you can really grow on LinkedIn, and I have gotten some great traction. I think like 700 people have connected organically.
Oh wow, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. 700 people have followed me or connected with me in a matter of 3 months,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I definitely feel that yes, there is an audience for me to say something to. right? If not very big, it's still there. But so LinkedIn, I also feel is like this untapped space, right? It's like, as compared to any other social media space, it's just very new and it's just a place where you can. It will eventually get to a stage where it'll seem like a Facebook, maybe in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think not everyone's using LinkedIn entirely the way they could, right? LinkedIn, otherwise you'll find half the companies promoting themselves.
Yeah.
You'll find some person saying, "I got promoted. I joined a job." That's 80% of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There's just so much more that you can do with LinkedIn.
True.
It's a sophisticated Facebook, if as far as I see.
Yeah, true. I completely agree. Like for me, the ranking is Reddit because like you can't beat Reddit. Reddit, I feel, is the perfect blend of not social media but like connecting with people and information.
Right.
Right. Like so much of what I learned to do with trading or to do with anything for that matter comes from Reddit, and then I have YouTube, and then maybe LinkedIn.
Right.
Like, have you heard of this other app called Clubhouse?
Yeah, I've been reading about it. Clubhouse is this I think voice only.
Yeah. So it's like this place where you enter a room and you have like live
Right.
interaction. So
Right,
that's
right.
supposed. I managed to get an invite for it.
Yeah.
And I was super pumped.
Yeah.
And I'm planning on shifting some form of this podcast onto Clubhouse as
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
well. Yeah. So like, how did you figure out what works on like whatever Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube? Was it just trial and error, or was it more calculated?
No, man, I'm honestly still figuring it out. I think
Okay.
I haven't figured it out. I am still figuring it out.
Huh.
LinkedIn is probably the place where I understand what, maybe talking about what interests the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So a big part of me is about I have so much to share about quitting your job. In case
Yeah.
you want to quit your job and lead a life of freedom, I think plus trading, these two niches, if I may call
Yeah,
them, right?
true.
So yeah, I think those two things fit very well with LinkedIn. So it's obvious that I put up something on LinkedIn. But yeah, other platforms I really don't know. I'm so new to this. I'm still figuring it out.
True.
So there's no calculation. It's a lot of trial and error. But I think the best part about short form content, right? So it's a LinkedIn or an Instagram video or something like that. It only lasts on that platform for 2 days.
Yeah,
Right? It's
true.
in circulation only for 2 days. So if you screwed up royally, there's no harm, right? It's only going to be there for 2 days and nobody's going to watch it. So I think it's a great place to sort of experiment and keep trying things and saying that, hey, when you talk about this is more valuable to someone. So it's perfectly fine to just screw up. Half your posts won't get the kind of traction that
Yeah.
some better ones will get.
True. Like on the topic of screw ups,
Yeah.
did you ever have like this innate fear of being judged by the people around you? Because I have that. Like I've wanted to do this podcast for maybe the past 8 years,
Yeah.
like ever since I was in 11th or 12th.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only reason why I haven't
Yeah.
is because I care too much about the people around me.
Yeah.
And I probably still do.